Hello, welcome to Texas Guy Movie Reviews, and today I have a co-reviewer, David Taylor, with me, and we're going to talk about Mikey.
It's a great movie, but it's got its points.
Got its points?
Definitely got its points.
Yeah, you bet.
Good and bad, folks. Don't worry. I mean, good and bad. But, I mean, overall, I think it would be a good movie to reboot, like my friend here was saying earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, do you want to start with your first topics?
I was supposed to have it. You just want to go ahead and say at least one of your pros while I look this up right quick?
Well, one of my major pros is, for its time period, it does seem like a believable story that it could have been, not saying it was, but could have been derived from a real story that happened out there. That was a big pro for me because it made the movie more believable on those aspects.
Right. Yeah, that does. That does sound. There we are, right here. Hold on. Now we're gonna go to. Yeah. Okay. So Mikey is a 1992 American psychological crime slasher film directed by Dennis Dempster and written by Jonathan Glassner. It stars Brian Bonsall as Mikey, a young boy adopted by a family who turns out to be a violent psychopath.
A violent psychopath. Deranged serial killer is more like it.
Yeah, it definitely is a pretty brutal movie for...
But, I mean, that's...
For a killer kid movie, he's what, 10 years old?
I want to say 10,
yeah.
But, I mean, the brutality... He ain't kidding.
Oh yeah, the brutality in this movie is pretty great.
And the kid actor, he is amazing. You can see the emotion in his face during the movie, and it's you believe it. I promise.
All right, so we're gonna go with the plot, and then after that we'll do pros and cons and.
All right.
Okay, so a young boy is setting fire to newspapers in the basement. His name is Mikey, and he has a young sister, Beth, whom he blames for the fire when his mom admonishes Mikey. When Mikey is disciplined by his foster mother for starting the fire, he responds by causing Beth to drown in the pool, electrocuting his foster mother while she is in the bath, and killing his foster father with a baseball bat. Okay, so...
Yeah, that was the brutality right there of it. It was... I mean, as a slasher film lover, that drew me in right then and there.
Yeah, and it wasn't, the first couple of minutes
it was only the first few minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what brought my attention, was like, oh, I'm watching this movie to the end no matter what.
Yeah, it kind of really shocks you because you're not expecting it to be, right in the first couple of scenes of the first of the movie.
And it starts out so kind of like lovingly that it's like, wow, this turned really sick really quick. And I don't know, like the brutality of it just kind of it locked me in immediately because it had me wondering what's happening next.
You're a horror fan, right?
I am a horror fan. I love slasher films and horror films and thrillers, and this one kind of mixes it up in all that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Okay, so Mikey avoids suspicion because he is only 9, and he tells the police that an intruder killed the family. The detective, Reynolds, is assigned to the case, and he does not suspect Mikey.
Well, the guy's kind of clueless. If you look at him, he's kind of a dummy. I mean, he just looks kind of clueless to begin with. Then he talks, and you know he is. So,
Okay, well, moving on. A psychiatrist recommends that Mikey get fostered as soon as possible. His foster mother's sister is put forward as a prospective foster carer, but she does not want anything to do with Mikey, which is a really good idea.
yeah, she was probably the smartest person in the entire movie. The whole movie, she was the smartest one because she said, "Kiss that boy goodbye for me." I don't even what that
He was already. She said he was fostered out. She didn't care.
Yeah.
She didn't even know him.
Yeah,
So,
he was already adopted. See, what I don't get is how they didn't know already that he was adopted. I don't get how the child care system was. I mean, I know it was the early 90s,
yeah,
but the child care system was a little bit better than that back then, I think.
maybe.
But I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. So, let's see. She states that he was adopted and that it was suspected that he was abused by members of his family. She does not present as somebody who is overly interested in taking care of a young child, which, yeah. She kind of looks like like a biker or something like that, kind of sort
Yes, well, in the early 90s, she was probably either a biker or some kind of mall chick. She had a weird look.
Yeah.
She didn't look like she wanted to be an adult, that's for sure.
Yeah. So he is then sent to a new family, Neil and Rachel Trenton, who do not know anything about Mikey's past. Mikey's presence himself as an admirable and loving child. For example, when he meets his foster parents, he asks, "Are you going to be my new mommy and daddy?"
Yeah, and knowing what you know about what you just saw in
Yeah.
Rachel's previous parents, that kid, I don't know what it was, but when he says that, it's creepy as fuck. But it's like, wow.
Yeah, because
And-
you're not used to a
Yeah,
killer kid movie like this.
Right.
Trust me, if you've never seen Mikey, get on Tubi, look it up, you'll find it.
It's a pretty good movie. But yeah,
Go ahead.
it was creepy as hell whenever he says, "Are you going to be my new mommy and daddy?" Because they were just so gullible and just ate it up.
Yeah, he was really good at deception, pretty well. Don't you
Yeah.
think?
But then again, those people would have still ate him up because they were desperate parents, desperate childless parents wanting to
Yeah.
have a child. They would have ate him up if he would have been talking in languages and tongues.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so at first he does not behave as if he is disturbed, and he exhibits caring behavior towards his new mother's fish. He also manifests behavior which is not out of the ordinary in his desire to succeed in a game which his class at school plays.
yeah, well, he was cheating on the marble game. But as far as all the other things, that was a straight up act. That kid in the story was a great actor.
Right.
Because he fooled them from the moment they met him, all the way down there to the moment that he started killing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so Mikey then falls in love with his new best friend Ben's older sister Jessie. She is not interested in him as she is 15 years older than Mikey and is dating a young man named David. In an attempt to make Jessie love him, he electrocutes David while he was in the jacuzzi.
The guy deserved it, just gotta say. He was kind of a douchebag.
Yeah. He
deserved it.
He was fried to a crisp.
Yeah.
He was fried to a crisp. That was funny.
Why ask why?
Something like
Don't ask why, because that's when you get fried.
Okay. After this fails and he is found out by his foster mother, he fatally stabs her with a glass shard, but before that, he attacks her with a hammer.
Yeah, which, by the way, don't understand why she just kind of sat there and let him come at her and swing it. Like, she basically lets him hit her with the hammer.
Yeah.
And then she just runs to the refrigerator and gets some ice and stands there like nothing's wrong. I mean...
And then he takes the other end and stabs her in the arm.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah. And then afterwards, I mean, we kind of it didn't mention it in what he's reading right here, but part of the movie he shows a part about putting a ball under his arm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's how he tricks this girl into giving him mouth to mouth, and it tricks her into thinking he has no pulse. Well, it doesn't really play on it, but it's what makes it believable whenever the guy comes in and finds him on top of his foster mother, because the guy believes he's dead.
He's the principal.
Yeah, the principal.
Yeah, that's
folks.
No, you're right.
That's what you're getting to right now, isn't it?
Yes. So then kills his school principal and teacher with a bow and arrow and slingshot after they arrive shortly afterward to investigate their suspicions about him, because she read some news article about his other foster parents.
It doesn't say that in that review.
No, it doesn't. No, but it's just a basic.
The teacher kind of put it all together and put two and two together and figured out who he was.
Yeah. And
she kind of got turned on to some accidental information whenever she called that one place.
Yeah.
Because that woman told her that story about the Mikey Klein or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, my whole thing is the teacher knew. Why didn't she immediately call the police instead of trying to go to her friend's house to warn her? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't the police be a better option?
Yeah, I think so.
I would think so. And then when they get there to investigate, when they find the woman, the foster mother, with Mikey laying on top of her on the stairwell, they go back outside. Well, then after the man calms the woman down, the school teacher gets calmed down by the principal. Well, the principal goes back inside the murder scene to call the police. Why not go to the neighbor's house? Wouldn't most general people go to a neighbor's house to call the police instead of walking back into a crime scene?
Well, it's an easy plot, and it's near the end of the movie, and they probably want to wrap it up. But maybe sort of. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know, man. It seems like some. They could have wrote that better. Is all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. So okay. Here in a second, and unsuccessfully tries to shoot Jesse with a bow, the one that he was crushing on.
Yeah, he tried to shoot her, but he missed, right?
Yeah, and it says here,
that's why she got
to
away.
Avoid being blamed, Mikey fakes his own death, staging a skeleton of a boy the same age as him at the dining table, then blows up the house with a gas leak and Molotov cocktail when his foster dad arrives home to find everyone dead around the table. The skeleton was located in one of Mikey's classrooms at school. Jesse is told by the authorities that Mikey is dead. Later, Mikey, going by the name Josh, is adopted by another family.
So much I got to say about all that. First off, the whole explosion thing. I'll skip over my one point because it's kind of my issue. But the explosion. If you think about this, he was in the kid was in the kitchen whenever he lit the fucking Molotov cocktail. Now,
when he's got the gas going.
The gas is going full blast right there, and if anybody knows anything about even seeing it on movies, a gas explosion is going to burn everything. It's an explosion. It's not a fire. This kid would have been flash fried that close to the ignition of the blast. Am I wrong? No, he would have been flash fried.
Yeah.
It shows the whole house exploding. So that means that gas had been filling the whole house. So there's nowhere he could have ran and jumped and hid to where the gas, because gas don't not go under the table or in the cabinet. Gas goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So everywhere is going to explode. That kid would have been flash fried. How did he survive without a scratch on him? It shows him whenever they're readopting him as Josh. He comes out, right? There's no burn marks. There's no scarring. There's nothing. So this kid just like crispy crittered a whole house and a whole family unscathed. How in the hell does that happen?
Plot hole. So,
and it never really tells you what happens with Jesse either. Besides that, she gets told that he's dead. Now, is she? I mean, it leaves it both open for a sequel. I think he's still in love with her and is still going to try to come back at him.
that would be.
But that would be
cool.
awesome. But that's been a long time ago since that movie was made, so a sequel is probably not ever going to happen.
Well, if they could reboot it though, it'll be a pretty. I think if the right person wrote it and directed it and all that good stuff, then maybe.
Well, I mean, for its time,
But
for the early 90s, what was it, 92?
92, yes.
92. For its time, I mean, it was a damn good movie that shouldn't have been overlooked, but it probably was because of the more popular box office hits that were going on that year. Because I don't think it had any theater time.
No, I don't think it did.
Because what was some of the major hits in 92, like Home Alone and shit like that, you know? There was some really big hits in 92. And
the reception, this is what it says. It says TV Guide panned the movie, which they felt was directed with
negligible flair.
and had a horrifying but implausible story.
Yeah. So that means, you know what that means. Guys, this was probably a true story. I'm not saying it was, but it probably was. Somebody heard this story and was like, holy crap, I gotta make that movie.
Yeah.
And I think it should have gotten a lot more attention and a credit. But people weren't so much into that shit whenever this movie was made, I don't think. I think the horror lovers really kind of came out of it and started expressing it in the late 90s.
Yeah,
that's when that genre really picked up.
I think that when that started, I think what rekindled that may have been that movie Scream.
Yeah, I mean that kind of picked it up a little bit, but because I mean if you
Final
think about it,
Destination
into the mid 90s, all the horror films were starting to get stale, and stale is, you know.
Yeah.
But we're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
Overall, I would watch Mikey again.
What would you rate it as?
On 0 being a piece of crap to 10 being watch it again?
Yeah.
I'd give it a 10 on a watch it again.
10 on a watch it again?
Just because I like the brutality of it. Some of the stuff in it doesn't make sense, and that's fine, but the brutality got me.
Yeah. And I kind of have a nostalgia for it. I don't know. I don't know if I can give it a perfect 10. I think I'll give it like an 8.
Okay.
An 8 out of 10, at least.
Yeah.
Simply because there's some spots that gets a little boring in some spots.
I mean, it does kind of draw it out a little bit. But it kind of does that to tell you more of the story, I guess.
Well, whatever. I guess it's just a nitpick.
Well, I mean, if you didn't have the whole fake fake dying CPR scene,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know how he was faking being dead on the stairs.
So, one of my cons is the way that the dad steps on steel ball bearings at the first before he beats him mercilessly to death in the head with that baseball bat.
Yeah, that was a little janky on the camera work, I think.
Because out of nowhere,
it's like pow.
It's like you see the sister drowned in the pool, and then the dad's like, "Oh my God, no!" And then it pans from him to the
Ball bearings,
and him stepping on it and falling through the glass door.
I mean, but walking up to the door, even I mean, you would think you would see a bunch of giant steel ball bearings laying on the floor. But really, come on. There must have been 20 or 30 of these giant steel ball bearings just laying all over the floor. I mean, even if you're kind of distracted looking out the window, you're still going to see that with your peripheral. I mean,
I would, yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
And then another con is when he's dragging the bodies to the table.
I was going to leave that one alone, but now since you said something.
No, go ahead. No, I want to hear it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Think about it. 10-year-old boy, or 10-year-old-ish. The kid weighs maybe 90 pounds altogether. Okay, the bodies he's dragging around, there's 2 adult females. Okay, between 100 and 150 pounds, I want to say, on both of them. I can kind of get that he could drag them around and maybe flop them up onto a chair and set them in place for the dining room scene when the father comes home. But the principal has got to be at least 6 foot, 6'2", couple 100 pounds. No way that kid is freaking moving that dude and putting him in place. No way. No way.
It shows him moving him though.
It shows him dragging him and having him. It shows him struggling.
Yeah, he looks like he's struggling. But it could have been done.
Have you ever just like lifted up dead weight? Have you ever just lifted like dead weight, like sacks and stuff?
Well, yeah, of course.
I mean, you're 200 pounds of dead weight. You're not going to do that. Not a 10-year-old little boy. There's not enough crack in the world. I'm just telling you.
Okay, so what do you think about the drowning of the sister? That was kind of brutal.
Yeah, that was kind of fucked up. I mean, he just like kind of looked down and watches her like, yeah. You can tell on this kid's face he's
enjoying his role. He's enjoying his role.
Yeah.
I think a little too much.
Yeah, like I don't know the kid personally as an actor, but I've never seen him in any of his other roles, but he looks like he enjoyed this one way too much.
Then the second kill is killing mother with the hairdryer.
Okay. We talked about this a little bit.
In the bathtub.
All right, guys, check it out. Like, I don't know a lot about electricity, but he throws her a hairdryer in the bathtub. She catches it. Her hands don't look that wet. They're not really wet. And she catches it on the plastic, like around the handle. How does it electrocute her?
If it doesn't hit the water.
Exactly.
Right.
And her hands, even though they may be wet, are still on the handle. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, there's been women pick up a hairdryer with a wet hand before and use it. I mean, that's not enough to let it... Now, if it hit the water, I'd understand her being a crispy fucking critter, but she caught it. Like, right up here, like this. But, I mean, it's a movie, so it doesn't have to make sense, right?
Right? Sometimes, I guess, if you go into a movie with an open mind,
Okay. I mean, well, yeah, I try.
If you go in you expecting anything serious with this movie, just don't do that.
No,
Don't do that.
no. I mean,
But just go in there with open mind, and you know you might like it.
see, I like I said, I gave it a 10. I really enjoyed it. It's got its faults, but it's kind of funny to nitpick at them for me. So it kind of makes it more enjoyable for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the movie, but it definitely has its flaws. Definitely.
Yeah, several of them. But we'll let y'all find that out for your own.
Okay, so we've already talked about how, the father and the baseball bat a little bit. I'm not going to talk. If you want to say something on that, you can. I'm not.
Which
gonna,
father?
The first one, the one where he beats him with, where he steps on the ball bearings. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about the ball bearings and everything.
Okay, so
We didn't talk about him actually hitting him with the bat.
no, we didn't.
That part I liked.
You can actually see the bat hitting his head.
Yeah, that part was brutal as fuck. That was part of what kept me in the movie. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
that was like the brutality part I was talking about earlier. Like, because it really looks like he's hitting this dude in the head with a bat, and and he's had the kid's freaking laughing and chuckling the whole time. You know, it's like, jeez.
Yeah.
It's like this kid's a straight up
Psychopath.
killer.
Yeah. But and then the last this one kill that we didn't mention was the fried boyfriend with the radio in the hot tub.
Well, we kind of mentioned
Well,
it.
we did.
He was a douchebag. He deserved it.
But I mean, no.
I mean, honestly, though, the one thing I want to... Who honestly puts a radio that close to a freaking hot tub? Come on, really?
I know. Especially one that's got a cord on it. I mean, come on.
I mean, but it was the 90s. I guess we were dumber then.
Yes. So, do you have any positives to say? Any, like, really good positives to say about it? Like, pros or whatever?
Well, I mean, I said at the beginning, I liked how the story kind of made me feel like it's believable.
Okay.
And I liked a lot of the actors in the movie. I liked, you know, the only one that I didn't really like the acting was the second foster dad.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone else was pretty good.
Yeah, the second foster dad wasn't really that great. Not really.
But you know, like Mikey, the actor that played Mikey, you could tell that he was really into his role. He really made you believe he was that little psycho. And
Oh yeah.
then,
That's
you
for
know,
sure.
some of the actresses were great. Like the teacher, she was pretty good. And the second foster mother, Rachel, she was pretty good.
Yeah. Jesse was
And-
pretty good.
Yeah, Jesse was pretty good, but I don't know. I didn't really like the way where the hot tub scene was going before Mikey intruded.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way she was acting right there. Like she was flopping on her acting right there. But otherwise, besides that, she did great.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But like I said, the second foster dad, he was kind of not a great actor.
That's true.
But I mean, he got the point across to where you could tell he was desperate to be a father. Give him that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, besides that, he kind of flopped on it.
I'd say that too.
But like I said, I would watch the movie again just because of the brutality and, well, I'm a psycho too.
Yeah, my pros is that this movie is a killer kid movie. I mean, I think it's one of the
few.
It's one of the few underrated. It's definitely not like.
Well, it's one of the few to begin with, because
Well, yeah.
for the 90s era, there weren't a whole lot of killer kid movies. I mean, you had your
we
Chucky, but that don't really count, guys.
Yeah, we had Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn, yeah. I mean, and then what was The Good Son?
Good Son. But I'm not for sure if that was R. It may have been some kind of PG, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But this movie here is definitely R. It's an R movie.
Like, he gets pretty wild. And
creative. But I give that kid some credit. He had some kind of creative kills for each kill.
I give him the credit of being a freaking genius is what I give him. He's a genius serial killer. Because if you watch the movie and you really pay attention, this kid is methodical on how he does everything, like a true serial killer is. But I think we're seeing an origin story of one of the serial killers out there. They just don't want to tell us that.
Yeah, he could be. You never know, though.
Never know. We can always speculate, though, right, guys?
Yeah. Anyway, there's only two more pros, which is Mikey himself, of course. We've said a lot of that.
We've praised him pretty well.
And the one little thing, not to be perverted, but I love me some titties. There is one scene of titties.
There is in the bathtub. Second foster mom. Pretty nice. Well, there's technically two scenes. There's the younger girl. You can see her nipples through the bathing suit.
But I wouldn't. No.
But I mean, yeah. But as far as actual full nudity boobies, yep, the bathtub scene.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we have time for, folks. But we would definitely probably have to do this again.
Yeah, this has been fun, guys.
I like having a co-host. So
this has been fun, and I'm always down to watch good movies.
Or bad ones.
As you see right now,
bad ones.
I can't really work right now, so yeah, I watch good and bad movies.
Might be Rapture.
Oh my God! Don't get me started. The movie's junk.
Yeah, he is garbage.
All right.
See y'all later.
Later, guys.